Actually, that's true. Now, we really needed to study, we really needed to read. But ano dapat yung maging lifestyle ng bawat isa sa atin after that? Okay. Actually, Father made a declaration about this na the lifestyle that we have after studying and reading the divine principle and practicing it, it should be a lifestyle of living for the sake of others. Tama ba?
Aju.
Okay. And kaya nga ang favorite ano yung favorite na word ni Father? Do you remember? What's the favorite word of true parents? Hala. Who can give the favorite word of true parents?
Living for the sake of others.
Mhm. Actually, yun yung lifestyle na ini-inculcate nila sa atin. Pero meron silang favorite word. Na sabi niya, this is the one that can move heaven.
Sincerity moves heaven.
Sincerity.
Ano yun sa Korean term yun?
Yongsong.
Ayun, Jongsong. Okay. Hindi lang siya sincerity, but utmost sincerity. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Okay. So utmost sincerity in practicing a lifestyle of living for the sake of others. And that is the life of our true parents. Aju? So meaning, ito dapat yung maging lifestyle natin after we continuously study the divine principle. Transform or change the old lifestyle that we have and then start with this lifestyle. Okay? So how can we do that? So ito yung pag-aaralan natin ngayon. Okay? Let me start by going through again, let's study again the divine principle. Okay? Actually, every time na nagle-lecture ako, lagi ko sinasabi na I'm not your lecturer. I'm also a participant like you. Because I believe that I am learning every time that I give lecture. Okay? So we all know that the divine principle is being divided into three parts. Okay? Ano yung three parts ng divine principle? First is
Principle of creation.
ano tawag dun sa principle of creation?
Fortune.
Ha? Anong tawag dun sa principle of creation?
Formation.
Formation. Ano pa? Ano? Any
It
other
has
guess?
a growing period.
Growing period. Actually, principle of creation, that is the blueprint. Okay? Principle of creation is the blueprint of the life of human being and the whole universe. And then ano yung second part? Second part ng divine principle.
Restoration.
That's the third part.
Human fall.
The human fall or? Ano yun? Ano? It is the problem, right?
Yeah, problem.
The problem why the blueprint was not established. And then third, yung sinabi si Micah ba yung nagsabi kanina?
Yes.
Am I right, Micah?
Principle of restoration.
Principle of restoration, that is the solution. Right? Solution, how can we go back to practice the original blueprint of our life? So these are the three main parts of the divine principle. Okay. So let's see, what should be the blueprint of our life? Okay. Let's start by understanding the part 1 and starting with the principle of creation. Okay? So alam ko memoryado nyo to. Sino makapagbasa nito? Anybody who can read what is on the screen? Sige na, chance nyo na yan.
Right, sir.
Basahin ng malakas para marinig ng lahat.
Throughout history, people have anguished over the fundamental question of human life and the universe without arriving at satisfying answer.
And what's the meaning of this? Anybody? Mag-share kayo para ano. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, this is we will be studying the principle again eh. It's not just, hindi lang lagi ako yung magsasalita dito. We will talk, ako mag-initiate tapos kayo yung tutulungan nyo ako. Okay? Hindi ito yung usual na seminar na makinig lang tayo tapos okay na. Okay? Kasi we will be deepening the divine principle as part of our life. Okay? Okay ba? Okay
Yes.
ba sa inyo? Agree
Yes,
or
sir.
lecture
Agree.
na lang gawin natin?
Agree po, agree.
Okay, so who can give what is meant by throughout history people have anguished over the fundamental question of human life and the universe without arriving at satisfying answer. In short, maraming tanong, walang sagot.
Yes.
Tama ba?
Yes,
Yes.
It's
Right?
true.
Na questions na up until this time is hindi pa rin nasasagot. So anong gagawin natin ngayon? Okay.
Find the answer.
Find truth.
Find the answer?
Find the answer.
Where can we find the answer? Okay?
Find the
So yan,
solution.
Ayan. Throughout history, ito yung problema natin. We've been asking the same question, but there's no satisfying answer. Ano ba yung mga question na yan? Isa dyan yung, what is the purpose of my life?
Life.
Diba? Why
Yes.
I am here? Bakit ako nabuhay dito sa mundo? One time, tinanong ko yung nanay ko, Nay, bakit niyo po ba ako pinanganak? Sabi naman sa akin, anak, madilim kasi noon, gabi noon. Okay? Parang, napakaano, no? Ganun lang ba yon? Pinanganak niyo ako, tapos wala nang ano? Okay? So, even if we will ask people in a religious field, they cannot give a clear answer of what is really the purpose of our life here on earth. Tama ba? Aju?
Aju.
So that is the problem that we have. And why it is like that? Why we are not arriving to a satisfying answer?
Yes. No
Okay.
one has
Sabi niya dito,
understood the root principle.
Ayun. Because no one has understood the root
The
principle
root principle
by which humanity and universe were originally created.
created.
We don't know where's our root.
Hindi natin alam kung saan tayo nagmula. Kaya merong sinasabi, nanggaling tayo sa kawayan. Tama ba? Nanggaling tayo kung saan-saan. Tatanggapin nyo ba na nanggaling kayo sa unggoy?
Hindi po.
Hindi po.
Bakit? Eh, sabi ni Charles Darwin eh.
Sabi niya po yun, sir.
Iba yun.
Siya naman.
Actually, even me, kung tanungin niyo ako, hindi ko matatanggap na nanggaling ako sa unggoy kasi mas gwapo ko sa unggoy, sabi ng nanay ko.
Ay.
Di ba? Tama ba?
Yes,
And then, ibang-iba
sir.
yung feature ng tao, although meron siyang similarity, but we are not really coming from an ape. Kasi kung titignan nga natin, micromolecular characteristics natin, ang pinakamalapit in terms of our DNA sequence, mas malapit pa tayo sa aso. Pero physical feature, yun nga lang, mas malapit tayo sa unggoy, pero mas gwapo, magaganda tayo sa unggoy. Tama ba? Aju no aju?
Aju.
Aju.
Okay? So ito yung naging problem. We don't have a clear understanding of the root origin that we have. The root principle. So what do we need? We needed to go back to the origin. Tama ba? So to approach this topic properly, it is not enough to examine resultant reality. The fundamental question is that of a causal reality. So problem concerning human life and the universe cannot be solved without first understanding the nature of God. Right? So we have to go back. Sino bang gumawa sa atin? Okay? Sino ang gumawa sa atin? Hello?
God.
God. Directly, ikaw, ginawa ka ba ni God? Actually, ang talagang directly na gumawa sa atin ay walang iba kundi ang parents natin. Si nanay at tatay. Tama ba?
Yes.
Pero nung
Yes.
tinuruan tayo, sinong gumawa sa atin? Si God, right?
Mm.
Yes.
God is our creator. Pero sino naging co-creator ni God? It's no other than our parents. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, we needed to go back. Kaya kung titignan nga natin, bakit ganito ako, dapat intindihin natin, ano ba yung parents ko? Ano ba yung characteristics ng parents ko? And then, pag maintindihan natin yung characteristics ng parents natin, kaya pala ganun ako. Di ba? Kaya ganito yung mata ko, ganito yung tenga ko, ganito yung ilong ko, mana kay lolo, mana kay lola, pero mas gwapo ako kay nanay at tatay. Am I right?
Yeah.
Adju no adju?
Adju.
Adju.
Seryoso kayo masyado eh. Napaka-seryoso. Okay? So we have to go back to the causal reality. But the question is there anybody who have seen God? Nakita niyo ba si God?
No.
Di ba? Yun nga ang naging problem. Walang nakakita kay God. Pero ang tanong, is it possible for us to see God?
No.
Pwede ba natin makita si God? Hindi raw? Hindi rin?
Yeah.
So paano natin maintindihan si God?
Through His creations.
Ha?
Through His creations.
Through His creation. Pero kung i-observe natin yung creation, ano makikita natin?
Beautiful.
Oh. Pag nakakita ka ng ipis, masabi mo, ang ganda naman ng ipis. Ha? Ha? Okay. So, actually, kung titignan natin, we can clearly understand and see God even though He is invisible. Kaya nga sabi niya dito, how can we know the divine nature of the invisible God? Okay? Kung invisible siya, meron siyang visible manifestation. Tama?
Yes.
Yes.
Nakita niyo na ba yung mind niyo?
No.
Hindi pa?
Yes.
Yan. Actually, ako rin hindi ko rin nakita eh. Kahit nung nasa College of Medicine ako sa Fatima, nung binuksan namin yung ulo ng tao, sabi ko, nasaan dito yung mind? So, tinanong ko yung professor ko sa anatomy, Sir, nasaan po dito yung mind? Eh, hindi mo makikita kasi ang makikita mo dyan is puro taba. Kasi yung utak natin is puro taba yun. Okay? Yung mga gray matter, dura matter na yan, these are all fats na nandoon. Eh sabi ko, nasaan yung mind? Eh di ba nasa ulo yon? And then sabi niya, ang mind is, yun yung nagbibigay ng synaptic characteristics. Okay? So ibig sabihin, hindi mo makikita yung mind, pero ang makikita mo is the physical brain. Tama ba?
Yeah.
Pero naniniwala tayo na meron tayong mind, right? So saan natin nakikita yung presence of the mind? It is through our physical body. Tama ba? So if that is us, likened to God, God is invisible, meron siyang substantial manifestation. Kaya sabi niya, one way to fathom His deity is by observing the universe which He created. And that is being written in the book of Romans. Meron ba kayong Bible dyan? Sino may Bible sa inyo? Ha?
Wala po.
Wala kayong Bible? Hala, paano yan? Paano tayo mag-aral kung wala kayong Bible?
Meron.
Sinong may Bible? Basahin nga yung Romans 1:20. Anybody who can read? Saan na yun?
Umanganap yung Roman.
Romano 1, 20. Tama ba? Tagal naman ng application na to. Pinapasubo ko ng Bible app na to.
since the creation of the world.
Aha. Sino yan?
Ito kayo na-recite?
Sige. Huwag kayo mahiya. Go.
Can I recite ito?
Romans chapter 1
Ah.
verse 20. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse.
Ayun, klaro, no? Nasaan yung characteristics ni God? Saan natin maintindihan yung character ni God and nature ni God? It is clearly seen from the things that He created. Tama ba? From the things that He created. Ibig sabihin, we can understand the invisible nature of God through observing the diverse things that He created. Kaya sabi niya dito, everything in the created universe is a substantial manifestation of some quality of the Creator, invisible, divine nature. Okay? Kaya nga sabi ni Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. Tama ba? And can you say that to yourself today? If you have seen me, you have seen God. Pwede ba? Pwede ba? Hello?
Pwede po.
Ha? Pwede?
Pwede po.
Pwede po.
Pero bakit hindi kayo confident? Parang nagdadalawang isip kayo. Okay? So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Okay? So, let's continue. Tignan natin. So, just as we come to know the character of an artist through his work, so we can understand the nature of God by observing the diverse things of creation. So, kung titignan natin, ang lahat ng create ni God, merong commonality na makikita natin. Okay? And these are the common elements that we can see in the natural world. So, let us begin by pointing out the common elements which are universally found throughout the natural world. Ano yung common element na makita natin throughout the natural world?
Yang and yin.
Yung characteristics of yang and yin, or positive and negative. Wala ba kayong positive and negative?
Meron po.
Meron. So, ibig sabihin, we manifest God's characteristics of positivity and negativity. Tama?
Yes.
True.
Yan. So, pero ang tanong is, ang sabi niya dito, hindi pala tanong. Sabi niya dito, every entity possesses dual characteristics of yang and yin and come into existence only when these characteristics have formed reciprocal relationship, both within the entity and between it and other entities. Okay? So, ano ibig sabihin nito? What does it mean? Nag-exist lang yung presence ng characteristics of yang and yin kung nagkakaroon ng formation of reciprocal relationship.
Relationships.
Okay? Anong reciprocal relationship na yon? At least meron yung somebody will give and somebody will receive.
Give and take.
Tama ba?
Give and take.
Yes.
Yan. So kung nag-exist yung give and take between these two characteristics, that's the only time that nagkakaroon ng existence yung yang and yin within the entity. Okay? Clear? Kaya anong target natin? Mag-separate ba yung yang and yin sa atin, or they should reciprocate each other?
Reciprocate each other.
Okay? So from this presentation, ibig sabihin, it is important that we have to perfect the harmonious relationship or the reciprocal relationship between positive and negative, because that is the only way so that positive and negative can exist within us. Kaya kung titignan natin, for instance, atom display either a positive or negative valence, plants propagate by means of stamen and pistil, and animals multiply and maintain their species through the relationship between male and female. And finally, human beings are either man and or woman. And we can only be said either man or woman once we are in a reciprocal relationship with our counterpart. Tama ba? Pwede bang sabihin na ikaw yung positive kung wala kang negative na magiging, ano tawag nun? Yun yung magiging comparison or magiging...
Absence.
Hindi. Yun yung magiging point of reference. Yeah? Pwede mo bang sabihin na lalaki ka, tapos wala kang point of reference na babae. Hindi pwede yun, right? Kaya nga, meeting of men and women and having a reciprocal harmonious relationship, that's the only time that magkaroon ng substantialization of positive and negative. Tama ba? Kaya nga sabi niya dito, finally, human beings are either man or a woman. Pero sabi rin niya kanina, nag-exist lang yung positive and negative through the reciprocal relationship of positive and negative or men and woman. Are you still with me? Okay pa ba kayo?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Yes po.
Sorry, hindi tayo. Medyo interactive kasi yung gusto ko kasi inaantok na ako kanina pa eh. Okay? Wala pa akong tulog mula kagabi kasi kagaling ko lang ng shift. Tapos diretso dito. Tapos mami, after nito may lecture pa ulit. Okay, so ganito ang ano natin throughout the course of our 21 days in this, we will be interactive. It's not just only me who will be speaking or talking, but you needed also to give your input. Okay ba?
Yes, sir.
Kasi dapat matuto tayo para-pareho. Okay? So yun, no? So nagkakaroon lang ng substantial existence ang positive and negative within entity if they are in reciprocal relationship. So the dual characteristics, aside from the positive and negative, these are the things that we can observe in every entity that is being created by God. Kaya sabi niya dito, however, there is another more fundamental pair of dual characteristics in reciprocal relationship. And every entity possesses both outer form and inner quality. Okay? Ano yun? Yun yung presence of unseen characteristics and seen or visible formation. Or yung tinatawag nating internal nature and external form. Tama ba?
Aju.
Alin dito yung nakikita at saka alin dito yung hindi nakikita?
Internal nature, hindi nakikita. External form, yun po yung nakikita.
Paano natin makita yung presence of internal nature? Diba? Sabi niya dito, since internal nature and external form refer to corresponding inner and outer aspect of the same entity, the external form may also be understood as the second internal nature. So therefore, the internal nature and external form together constitute the dual characteristics. So aside from the positive and negative na characteristics, dual characteristics, meron din yung visible and invisible characteristics na present in every entity. Okay? Aju?
Aju.
Yan. In human being, ito yung sinasabi nating presence of mind and body. So let us take human being as an example. Human being is composed of an outer form, the body, and the inner quality, the mind. Okay? Yan. Mind is the internal nature and the body is the external form. Mind and body are two correlative aspects of human being. Hence, the body may be understood as a second mind. Together, they constitute the dual characteristics of human being. Pero paano ba nag-exist? Paano mag-exist ang mind and body? Anong kinakailangan gawin para mag-exist yung mind and body? Anybody? Diba? Clearly, sinabi kanina, there should be a reciprocal relationship. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? Dapat magkaroon ng complete harmony ang mind and body. Tama ba?
Yes.
Aju? Para sa ganun magkaroon ng continuous na life existence ang entity na yan. Okay? So similarly, all being exists through reciprocal relationship between their dual characteristics of internal nature and external form. Kaya nga kung titignan natin, within human being, importante na magkaroon ng continuous harmonious relationship between mind and body. Okay? Pero sino ang dapat nasusunod? Is it the body or the mind? Yan. Anyway, di-discover natin yan along the way. Okay? Yan. So, nakita na natin, right? Lahat ng creation, lahat ng entity na create ni God, meron siyang dual characteristics. Ang tanong, kanino to nanggaling? Saan to nagmula?
Ay, God.
Kay God? Okay? Pero paano pag hindi nyo alam na kay God yun? Saan to nagmula? Saan to nanggaling? Di ba? Nanggaling dun sa nag-create sa atin. Tama ba? Tignan ko nga. Sino bang... Nantok na ba kayo?
Hindi po.
Ha? Okay lang kayo?
Okay lang
Yes
po.
Hala, may guest tayo. Nahiya tuloy ako. Ayun, nandito na yung backup ko. Yes, nandiyan na si Ate Relina. Yung support ko. Hi, Ate Relina. Welcome po. Yan. So, saan to nagmula? Diba? Kung hindi natin alam na kay God to, wala tayong concept kay God, saan to nanggaling? Siyempre, walang iba kundi yung nag-create sa atin. Tama ba? Yung characteristics na meron tayo bilang isang tao, bilang isang anak, pwede mo bang sabihin na nanggaling yung sa kapitbahay?
Hindi po.
Ha?
Hindi po.
Diba? Nanggaling lang sa parent. Nanggaling kung sino ang nag-create sa atin. And the one who created us really is no other than our parents. So lahat ng characteristics natin nanggaling sa ating parents. Kaya nga pag nanggaling sa kapitbahay, anong ibig sabihin nun?
Yung
Ha?
kapitbahay yung parents natin.
Ano, maging magulo na, right? Masira ang pamilya. Okay? Yan. So ibig sabihin, whether we like it or not, the first cause must also possess the dual characteristics of internal nature and external form, which stand in the position of subject partner to the internal nature and external form of all beings. Kaya hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na hindi ako pwedeng maging katulad ni God. Tama ba? Does it make sense, brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Hindi mo
Yes.
pwedeng i-deny na hindi ako pwede maging katulad ni God. Eh kung ganun pala, di dapat hindi ka pwede maging katulad ng parents mo. Pero bakit minsan sinasabi mo, kamukhang-kamukha ko yung nanay at tatay ko? Okay? Yan. And we call this first cause of the universe no other than God in Christianity. And we call God's internal nature and external form the original internal nature and original external form. Kasi sa kanya nag-origin yung internal nature and external form ng lahat ng entity. Okay? So we can therefore conclude that the dual characteristics that we possess is the thing that we have from the first cause. Okay? So it's only natural to surmise that God, the first cause of all things, also exists based on the reciprocal relationship between his dual characteristics of yang and yin. Okay? So nandoon yung original internal nature ni God na pinamana sa atin, and aside from the original internal nature, nandiyan din yung original yang and original yin, or yung positive and negative. Pero kay God, it is the origin. So sa kanya pa rin nanggaling yung positive and negative characteristics natin. So whether internal nature or external form, or whether positive or negative, all of these things coming from the origin, coming from the first cause. Kaya nga kung titignan natin, without God, we are nothing. But with God, that's the time that we can become everything. Adyo no adyo? Kaya
Adyo.
kinakailangan natin, we
Adyo
needed
po.
to always be connected to God. And how can we do that? Okay? We can do that by understanding how does the relationship of internal nature and external form and yang and yin come into relationship in God's personality. Okay? So sabi niya dito, what is the relationship between the dual characteristics of internal nature and external form and the dual characteristics of yang and yin? Anong relationship nila? Ha? Nabanggit na natin kanina, right?
Harmonious relationship, reciprocal relationship.
harmonious relationship and or reciprocal relationship. Ibig sabihin, they should continuously unite together. So if that is the characteristics of the origin, ano rin dapat tayo? Pwede bang maghiwalay yung mind and body natin? Pwede bang maghiwalay yung positive and negative within us? Actually, it's not. Okay? Kaya sabi niya dito, God's original internal nature and original external form each contain the mutual relationship of original yang and original yin. Therefore, original yang and original yin are attributes of original internal nature and original external form. Kaya kung makikita mo within human being, within entity, within us, nandyan yung existence of positive characteristics internally and negative characteristics internally. Likewise with the projection of the internal characteristics that we have through the body. Meron tayong positive and negative features sa ating katawan. Adyo no adyo?
Adyo.
Yan. Kaya kung kay God is harmonious relationship, kung yun yung mamanahin natin na characteristics, ano din dapat sa atin? Dapat the same thing. Kaya sabi ni Jesus, you must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Pwede ba tayo mag-excuse na tao lang ako, hindi ako pwede maging perfect? Ha? Pwede bang mag-excuse?
No.
No, right? We have to do it. We have to abide. We have to follow. And we have to practice it. Kaya wala tayong, hindi tayo natin pwede sabihin, tao lang ako, hindi ako pwede maging katulad ni God. Hindi pwede yon. Okay? Bakit? God is the subject in whom the dual characteristics of original internal nature and original external form are in harmony. And likewise, at the same time, God is the harmonious union of masculinity and femininity, which manifest qualities of internal nature, original internal nature and original external form, respectively. And in relation to the universe, God is the subject partner having the qualities of internal nature and masculinity. Kaya nga ang tawag natin kay God is our Father. And this is how Jesus Christ taught us 2,000 years ago. Okay, this is how you should pray. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as well as in heaven. And in recognition of God's position as the internal nature, internal and masculine, and subject partner, we call him our Father. Okay? So anong susundin natin? Yung wish ng kapitbahay o yung wish ng parents natin?
Wish ng parents.
That's why we needed to absolutely, completely one with God. And we should manifest God's characteristics. Adyo?
Adyo.
Adyo no adyo? Okay pa ba kayo?
Yes.
Haba na.
Yes po.
Last time nung present ko to, 30 minutes lang yung buong chapter 1. Humaba tuloy. Anyway, yan. Okay? So if that is the relationship of the dual characteristics, two sets of dual characteristics in the origin, what is that relationship? What is the relationship of those characteristics to us? Okay? So sabi niya dito, God is the invisible subject partner and the universe as a whole is a substantial object partner to God. And in accordance with the principle of creation, the dual characteristics manifest itself symbolically or as individual embodiment of truth, which constitute the universe. So, ibig sabihin, from God's characteristics, the two sets of dual characteristics in God, through the principle of creation, God manifests these dual characteristics through the universe, either in image or symbol, as the individual embodiment of truth. So, ibig sabihin, the image itself manifests God's truth, and then the symbol himself manifests God's truth as well. Tama ba? Kaya nga, kung titignan natin throughout the universe, me and the creation cannot live alone. We needed each other. Adyo?
Adyo.
Yun pa yung sinasabi natin sa science na no man is an island. Tama ba? You cannot exist without the environment. Sige, tanggalin natin ang mga puno. Mabubuhay kaya tayo?
Hindi.
Tanggalin natin ang mga plants. animals. Tayo lang mag-exist dito. Okay? Can we live? No. Nasusundan niyo ba yung research na ginagawa ng mga scientists ngayon sa Mars? Na ano yun? Na-encounter niyo yun? Di ba? Ang gusto ng mga
Martian
expert
na po.
natin is lilipat ang mga tao sa Mars. Na ano niyo yan? Na they are now conducting study. Anong unang dinedevelop nila doon? Tao ba kaagad ang pinadala doon? Actually is no other than preparing the environment. Okay? Gusto ko nga mag-apply doon kasi kailangan nila ng biologists eh. Kaso lang hindi ako ano eh. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, the whole creation itself, the whole universe, composed of God's image and God's symbol, representing human being as the image and all things as the symbol. And we are the substantial object partner of God. So since individual embodiment of truth are all substantial object partner to God, resembling his original internal nature and original external form, they each possess within themselves both internal nature and external form. And likewise, both yang and yin. Kaya makikita natin sa lahat ng tao, in the image form, meron tayong internal nature and external form, meron din tayong yang and yin. Positive and negative within internal nature and external form itself. Hindi lang sa atin, even the rest of creation. Meron din siyang internal nature and external form. And likewise, meron din siyang positive and negative, both within the internal nature and external form. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, hindi pwedeng excuse na tao lang ako, hindi ako pwedeng maging katulad ni God. I possess God's characteristics, I possess God's quality, so I should become the substantial image of God. Aju? And paano natin gagawin yun? Through constantly and continuously practicing harmonious reciprocal relationship of internal nature and external form, and likewise positive and negative. Okay? Yan. Are you learning something, brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Parang paulit-ulit na lang to. Ito na naman, ganun na naman. Ganun ba? Huh? Okay, so that is the first. Kaya kung titignan natin, we are the image of God. Kaya sabi ni Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. Okay? And then nasabi din niya na, you must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Hindi niya sinabi na you can be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. It is a mandatory command that everybody, okay, every human being must become the perfect image of God here on earth. Kasi yun yung wini-wish ni and linolong ni God. Okay? The question is, how can we continuously maintain the harmonious relationship of our mind and body and the positive and negative likened to God? Okay? So ito na yung pag-aralan natin this section. Section 2, Universal Prime Energy, Give and Take Action, and the 4-Position Foundation. Okay? Let's see God first. Okay? Sabi niya dito, God the creator of all things is the absolute reality, eternal, self-existent, and transcendent of time and space. So ito yung characteristics ni God. Number 1 is what? He is the creator. Second, meron siyang absolute reality, eternal, self-existent, and transcendent of time and space. Pwede siyang pumunta kahit saan. Right? And that is God's characteristics. Likewise, connecting to that, the energy that God possesses is also eternal, self-existence, and absolute. Tama ba? Kaya yung energy na meron tayo within us, pwede bang masira yun? Pwede bang walain? Hindi, kasi yun yung nagme-maintain ng buhay natin and existence natin. So where does this energy, minimal amount of energy present in us came from? It is no other than coming from God. Aju?
Aju.
So whether we like it or not, that comes from God. And the fundamental energy of God is no other than, it is also eternal, self-existence, and absolute. It is the origin of all energies and forces that allow created being to exist. And this is what we call the universal prime energy. Aju?
Aju.
Paano natin makita yung universal prime energy? Pwede ba natin makita yon? Ha? Actually, pwede natin makita once we constantly practice the harmonious relationship of our internal and external positive and negative. Not only within us, but even connecting to others. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Napapansin nyo, pagka nagbibigay kayo ng anything sa ibang tao, anong nangyari sa atin? Di ba na-energize tayo?
Yes.
Pero pagka hindi tayo nagbibigay, nagko-connect lang tayo sa sarili natin, ano nangyari? Naubusan tayo ng lakas. Tama ba?
Yes.
Kaya pag hindi ka masaya sa ginagawa mo, nababawasan ang energy mo. Pero pag masaya ka sa ginagawa mo, instead na mabawasan ang energy mo, the more na magre-recharge yung energy mo. Tama ba?
Yes.
Aju, no aju?
Aju.
And all of these things coming from the influence of no other than universal prime energy that comes from God. Okay? Kaya ang nagme-maintain ng interaction of positive and negative in every entity and even in human being is no other than the presence of universal prime energy. Okay? Kaya kung titignan natin, once we are connected to the universal prime energy that comes from God, okay? Through the agency of universal prime energy, the subject and object element of every entity form a common base and enter into interaction. This interaction in turn generates all the forces the entity needs to exist, multiply, and act. And the interaction generating these forces through this process is called give and take action. Okay? So ito yung kinakailangan natin. Dapat magkaroon ng harmonious give and take action between subject and object element. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Okay? One should be in the subjective position and one should be in the objective position, although the dual characteristics is present in every entity. Tama ba? Let's see, for example, ang tao. Alin ba ang subject sa tao? Alin ang object?
Mind and body.
Mind and body? Alin doon ang subject doon sa dalawa?
Mind.
Mind is the subject. Paano pag yung body ang naging subject? Magkakaroon ba ng existence?
Yeah.
Distraction.
Distraction, bakit?
Yes.
Paano magkaroon ng distraction pagka yung body yung naging subject?
Because our body always seeks comfort.
Alam niyo kung nasaan yung example nun? Bigyan ko kayo ng example. Practical example. Gutom na gutom ka.
Okay.
Actually, gas-gas na yata to sa may... Anyway, baka first time ninyo marinig to. Gutom na gutom ka, nakita mo ngayon, nandun yung paborito mong pagkain sa table. Pag body mo ang subject, anong gagawin mo?
Kakainin.
Kain ba yun o lamon?
Kain.
Di ba? Ang tendency is, hindi mo na maisip yung iba. Ang gusto mo is kainin mo na lang lahat. Kung isang kaldero yon, isang kalderong kanin, isang kalderong masarap na ulam, kinain mo lahat yun, what will happen to you? Ano mangyari sa'yo? Can you enjoy life? Can you enjoy existence?
No.
Hindi.
Diba? So very clear na even into that action, simple action of eating, there should be a perfect harmonious relationship between subject and object. Kaya nga sabi ng mind mo, wag mong biglain, dahan-dahanin mo. At saka isipin mo rin iba, hindi lang ikaw ang kakain. Okay? So sino magko-control nun? That's no other than the universal prime energy. So the interaction generating these forces is called give and take action. Okay? Pag once na yung isa na yung nasa subject position, naturally the other one will be in the object position. But in the state of our development, it is very important that we should constantly seek towards a subjective position, and that's no other than towards the direction of our mind or internal characteristics. Aju? Kaya nga sabi ni Micah kanina ang body natin always thinking of self-satisfaction. Ang mind natin is always thinking of how we can share. Kasi kung titignan natin, before we can enjoy everything, we have to offer something first. Tama ba? You have to give first. Okay? You cannot take anything without practicing giving first. And that is the natural law. Give first before you receive. Okay? And pagka nandoon na yung unity, harmonious interaction between subject and object, centering on the internal nature and external form, okay? Magkakaroon ng formation of different objective purposes. And most especially, formation of the four-position foundation. And then, ma-realize mo, meron kang origin, and we are the result of the division of the origin, and we needed to unite together so that we can manifest the origin. So the process in which out of God, the origin, two entities are separately manifested and reunited in oneness is called the origin, division, union, action. Okay? Yan. Kaya makikita mo, meron akong parents na origin, ako yung result ng unity ng parents ko. So if I have my parents, there is also a higher creator behind my parents. And that's no other than God. Aju?
Aju.
Yeah, once we are strongly connected, we can say that we are vertically aligned towards our parents and horizontally inclined towards the substantialization of the relationship of the subject and object towards each other in order for us to continuously maintain our existence here on earth. And yan yung sinasabi nating three object purposes. Okay? Anong kinakailangan? Dapat magkaroon ng communion of the three object. Okay? Any of the four positions resulting from the origin, division, union, action, namely the origin, subject, partner, and object partner and their union, may assume the position of subject partner engage the other three as its object partner, forming a communion of three objects. Okay? Wherein there should be somebody who will do the initiative. Tama ba? Kung lahat tayo dito nakikinig at walang mag-initiate, magkakaroon kaya tayo ng direction? Magkakaroon kaya tayo ng action? Magkakaroon kaya tayo ng purpose? Wala, di ba? Kaya we needed to, there should be somebody who will act. And that is what we call the one that is in the subjective position. And the subjective position is always thinking for the whole purpose and not for the individual purpose. Towards development and not for the destruction of the whole. Aju? And yun yung sinasabi nating communion within the relationship of the three object purposes. Kaya kung titignan natin kung sino yung mas nakakaisip na mas malawak na pangkalahatan, yun yung nagiging subject position. Katulad din ng mind and body natin. Ang mind is iniisip niya yung whole purpose, ang body natin is iniisip niya is yung individual purpose. Kaya the mind is always be in the subject position and the body is in the object position. Hindi pwede maging subject ang body unless na kinakailangan ng maging priority yung individual purpose to satisfy the whole purpose. Tama ba? Aju no aju?
Aju.
Kaya ang law natin is we should always follow the internal. Yun lagi ang basis natin. And everything is towards satisfaction of both the whole purpose and the individual purpose. And that's the time that we can form a perfect harmony together, manifesting the characteristics of the origin. And we can be said to be the outcome of the division of the two characteristics of the origin, or manifestation of the embodiment of the characteristics of the origin, either subject or object, male or female, positive or negative, man or the creation. Aju?
Aju.
So when the origin, the subject
Aju.
partner and object partner projected from the origin and their union all fulfill the three object purpose, and the four position foundation is being established. And pag sinabi nating four position foundation, this is the root of the principle of three stages, because it involves 3 stages of God, husband and wife, and children. Kaya kung titignan natin, whether we like it or not as a human being, we needed to find or we needed to wait for a partner that is being prepared by God. Hindi mo pwedeng hanapin yun kasi God will be the one to prepare at the right time and the right moment. What you just needed to do is to maintain, to perfect the harmonious union of the subject and objective principle. And yan yung sinasabi natin na practicing a lifestyle of living for
Living
the
for the
sake
sake
of
of
God
others.
with utmost sincerity.
Sincerity.
And that is the word of our true Father. And also, root of the number 12, because as each of the 4 takes on 3 object partners, 12 object partners are created. Okay? Kahit 4 lang yan, but magkaroon ng 12, number 12, formation of number 12, because each one will move towards supporting each other. Aju?
Aju.
Yan. And fundamental foundation for goodness, okay? Pagka nag-practice tayo ng live for others, and others will also learn to practice the same thing, what will happen? We can harmonize together. Kaya nga, yung common base natin sa isa't isa in order for us to work together is we should remove our own desire and then always thinking of how we can offer to others. Aju?
Aju.
Kaya ang lifestyle na dapat nating i-practice is no other than the fundamental lifestyle of living for higher purpose. Living for greater purpose. Okay? And this is also the fundamental foundation for the life of all being, providing all the forces necessary for their existence. And also, the 4-position foundation is God's eternal purpose of creation. So, ito yung pinaka-purpose ni God. Formation of the 4-position foundation, wherein nanggaling sa kanya yung harmonious relationship of all the 2 sets of dual characteristics na lahat ng kanyang create dapat ma-inherit the same thing. Inheritance or practice constantly, perfectly, the harmonious relationship of positive and negative, internal and external, within entities and relating with each other with the same purpose of perfecting the relationship of subject and object. And ultimately, passing that to the next generation. And that is what we call origin, division, union, action. Aju? So this is the ultimate purpose. We have to multiply and show God's harmonious characteristics of harmonious relationship and reciprocal relationship of the 2 sets of dual characteristics in God's personality. Kaya kung titignan natin, ito yung pinaka-purpose and pinaka-direction ng buhay natin. Okay? If we will come to study the Bible, okay, it is recorded that in Genesis 1:4-31, that after God completed each day of creation, He saw that it was good. Di ba? Pag nakikita mo na nagmamanifest yung characteristics mo dun sa ginawa mo, that's the only time that you can say that it is good. Tama ba? Aju no aju? Halimbawa, mag-drawing ka. Ang iniisip ng mind mo is i-drawing mo yung natural, yung environment, halimbawa, maraming puno. Ang lumabas, walang puno. Masabi mo na good ba yung ginawa mo?
No.
Not right?
No.
So liken to God. Okay?
Not originally.
After completed each day of creation, nakita niya na nagmanifest yung characteristics ng kanyang personality sa lahat ng kanyang ginawa. Kaya sabi niya, it is good. Pero, alam niyo ba na on the 6th day after creating human being, hindi lang good ang expression ni God? Anong expression ni God after that? Okay? It is very good. Nagkaroon siya ng complete satisfaction. So this suggests that God wanted His creation to be object partners embodying goodness that He might take delight in them. Meaning, ang gusto makita ni God is lahat ng kanyang create, most especially when He created human being, eto na yung final. Eto talaga yung magpapakita ng substantial object partner ko. Magpapakita ng true goodness. Okay? Kaya ang pinaka-hope niya is no other than the complete unity and harmonious relationship of dual characteristics in human being, within man and within woman. And naturally, they will unite together. And once this happens, that's the time that we can give the utmost joy to God. Okay? So God created human being as the final step in creating the universe. He created them in His image, in the likeness of His internal nature and external form, and gave them the sensibility to all feelings and emotion after their creation. God blessed Adam and Eve to be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over the creation. That is in the book of Genesis chapter 1:28. Kung titignan natin, ang binigay ni God na blessing is be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over the creation. Okay? And had Adam and Eve obeyed these three blessings and built the kingdom of heaven, there is no doubt that God would have felt the greatest joy as His sons and daughters rejoice in the world of His ideal. Hence, the ultimate purpose of the universe with human being as its center is to return joy to God. And how can we do that? Only inheriting the harmonious reciprocal relationship of God's dual characteristics. Either internal and external or positive and negative. And once we can do that, yun yung magkakaroon tayo ng substantial, becoming the substantial image of God. Kaya kung titignan natin, every entity merong ganitong purposes. Merong dual purpose of purpose for the whole that is internal and purpose for the individual that is external. Ang mind natin at saka heart, it is always for the whole purpose. Ang body natin is for the individual purpose. Pero yung individual purpose ng body is to support the need of the whole purpose. Kaya kung titignan natin, there should be a harmonious relationship as well. And once that will happen, the individual purpose will be satisfying the whole purpose. That's the time na nagkakaroon ng harmonious relationship of the dual characteristics that is manifested substantially in the individual embodiment of truth of God, centering on the entities that He created. So every entity has dual centers of movement, one of internal nature and another external form, and this center pursue corresponding purposes for the sake of the whole and for the sake of the individual, whose relationship is the same as between the internal nature and external form respectively. Okay? Kaya without any excuse, ang gagawin lang natin is to unite the two purposes that should satisfy each other. Pero ang priority natin is the whole purpose. Aju? And kung mag-concern man tayo sa individual purpose, it should satisfy the need of the whole purpose as well. Clear? Aju, no aju?
Aju.
Kaya ang destiny natin is no other than to live for others. Yan. So in God's ideal, there cannot be any individual purpose which does not support the whole purpose. Nor can there be any whole purpose that does not guarantee the interest of the individual purpose. And the infinite variety of being in the universe form one vast organic body interwoven by these dual purposes. Yan. Okay? Kaya nga kung titigan mo, di ba? Kung magluto ka, di ba? Pag magsaing ka, although that is individual purpose, pero ano pa rin ang unang mangyari? It is satisfy the whole purpose. Bakit? You have to serve first. Tama ba? Pagsilbihan mo yung bigas, hugasan mo yung bigas, bantayan mo, and then mag-exert ka ng effort na kahit may ginagawa ka, dapat nandoon pa rin attention mo para hindi maging tutong hanggang sa ibabaw. Tama ba? Kasi pag tutong hanggang sa ibabaw, can you still enjoy eating?
No.
So, ibig sabihin, we needed to give our utmost sincerity for the unity of the whole purpose and individual purpose interwoven together. Aju?
Aju.
And once that will happen, that's the time that we can become the source of joy towards the Creator. So joy is not produced by individual alone. We needed an object partner. So joy arises when we have an object partner, whether intangible or substantial, in which our internal nature and external form are reflected and developed. And our object partner stimulates us and help us to feel our own internal nature and external form come into existence in harmonious relationship together. Kaya nga, di ba sabi sa introduction ni Celine last time, okay? Dapat meron tayong desire and that desire should be fulfilled through the harmonious relationship of or the support of internal and nature forming together. Okay? Pag gutom ka, maghanap ka ng pagkain. Tama ba? Pag manahanap mo yung pagkain, matutuwa ka. And sino matutuwa? Ikaw lang ba o pati yung internal nature mo? So both will be satisfied. Aju?
Aju.
Yeah. So God filled the fullness of joy when He stimulated by His substantial object partner to feel His original internal nature and original external form through them. When the kingdom of heaven is realized through the fulfillment of the three great blessings, the establishment of the four-position foundation, it becomes the good object partner that gives joy to God. Kaya nga kung titigan mo, when God created light and darkness and nakita niya it is good, natapos na ba yung pag-create niya after that? Meron ng light and darkness, okay na yung creation. Hindi. Mas lalo siyang na-stimulate. Meron pa mas higit dito. Kaya that drives him to create more until he was able to create the whole sets of different characteristics or different entity that we can see around us. Ganun din sa atin, di ba? Pag may nasarapan sa luto natin, titigil ka na ba sa pagluluto? Ayoko na magluto, masarap pala yung luto ko. Ganun ba? The more we will be pushed to cook and discover more how we can satisfy others. Kaya nga, kung titignan natin, ito yung direction ng buhay natin. Whether we like it or not, this is the main goal. This is the main purpose of our existence here on earth. Na ito yung sinasabi sa Genesis 1:28 na, be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. Okay? So the key to God's first blessing is the perfection of individual character. Ano ba yung perfection of individual character? Paano yun mangyayari? Di ba sabi nga natin kanina, ang personality ni God is harmonious union of positive and negative, internal and external. Okay? Ano rin dapat mangyari sa atin? We should have the same characteristics. So individual mind and body are discrete projection and object partner to God's dual characteristics. In order for an individual to perfect his character, he must form an individual four-position foundation whereby his mind and body become one individually through the give and take action with God as the center. Okay? So paano natin masabi na naka-center kay God yung harmony ng mind and body natin? It is always leading towards action, existence, and satisfaction. Meaning, pag hindi na nakalahad dun sa parameter na yon, we can say na kinakailangan na nating mag-redirect. Tama ba? Kaya titingnan nyo, pag hindi na kayo natutuwa sa nangyari, sa ginagawa nyo, anong gagawin nyo? Mag-pause muna and then i-re-evaluate. Alin ba dito yung kulang? Alin ba dito yung hindi maganda? And that's the time that you will reconsider those things. Aju? So ang first blessing, individual perfection, hindi lang yung, nag-unite yung mind and body ko, okay na. Hindi lang yon. But there should be a result na mangyari. And ano yung result? It is satisfaction of individual and giving opportunities for others as well. Tama po ba? Kaya nga kung titignan mo, hindi lang dapat akong tama kasi meron akong matututunan sa ibang tao. Even the way we perceive, hindi na lang nakasentro sa sarili but an opportunity for you to relate and develop a harmonious relationship with each other. And that is the first blessing that we have to do. We have to perfect within us. And that's the time that we can form what we call individual four-position foundation. And pag hindi na to magbabago sa atin, that's the time that we can proceed to extension or expansion of these dual characteristics. Okay? Sige nga, tignan ko nga kung totoong na-practice ko na to. Dapat hindi ko ma-judge ang ibang tao. And the actual fulfillment of that is no other than the second blessing or what we call family perfection. In fulfilling God's second blessing, individually perfected Adam and Eve should construct a God-centered family four-position foundation by joining in loving oneness as husband and wife, raising children. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Hindi lang yung mag-asawa sila. Okay? But they should overcome their differences and learn from their differences and then develop harmony together. Complete each other so that the children will learn the same characteristics. And that is what we call the perfection of the family or family four-position foundation. Kaya sabi niya dito, joining in loving oneness. Na pag sinabing joining in loving oneness, hindi lang yung good characteristics ang mamahalin mo, but even the negative characteristics, because this will give us opportunity to learn and develop. And that's the time that we can multiply and we can naturally let our children learn from this one. Aju? Kaya pag sinabi nating second blessing, hindi lang yung union of husband and wife. No. Unification of the two sets of dual characteristics. Either positive or negative, dapat meron tayong I that is based on God's purpose. The holistic purpose. Okay? Kaya hindi ka na magja-judge. Hindi mo na i-judge yung tao. Ang titingnan mo na is yung opportunity to learn and develop harmony with each other. And that is the second blessing. Kaya pag wala ka pang asawa, wala ka pang partner, ang titingnan mo lang is these are my brothers and sisters so that I can continuously experience love and constantly develop a lifestyle of living for the sake of others. And I can adjust from different personalities para sa ganun, kung ano makita ko sa partner ko na ibibigay ni God, ready ako to mag-adjust with that. Okay, kaya yun yung sinasabi ni Father. While still single, it is very important for us to constantly, we should not be bounded by exclusive relationship, but it should be holistic relationship of brothers and sisterly love. Aju? Because that will be the foundation na kinakailangan natin in order for us to substantially meet our partner and then stand as the masculine image of God and the feminine image of God of harmonious relationship with each other. Diba? Ang ganda ng plano ni God. Aju? This is the blueprint of God's plan. And once we learn to value each other as a human being, sisirain mo bang environment?
No.
Naturally, God's third blessing means the perfection of human being dominion over the natural world. For this, a God-centered four-position foundation of dominion must be established through human being and natural world becoming completely one in creation. Nang ibig sabihin, dahil vina-value ko yung partner ko, yung ibang tao, yung magiging anak ko, I cannot destroy this environment. Okay? I have an experience. Okay? One time, sinama ko yung panganay na anak ko, makyat kami sa Tanay. Lagi ko kinukwento ang Sierra Madre is mapuno, maraming kahoy. Kasi yun ang identity ng Sierra Madre before, right? It is the longest rainforest in the Philippines. Nung pagdating namin doon, sabi niya sa akin, Apa, sabi mo mapuno ang Sierra Madre, nasaan yung puno? Diba? And that is a manifestation na once we will not value the things, most especially our surroundings, centering on valuing it that we can give to our successor, ang mangyari, hindi tayo naging totoo. Tama ba? We did not fulfill our portion of responsibility to develop our environment for the sake of the whole purpose. We intendedly use it for our individual purpose. And we violate the natural law of relationship. Harmonious relationship of God's dual characteristics. Kasi pag sinabi nating third blessing, hindi mo lang titignan isang bagay na pag-aari ko. Pag-aari natin lahat to kasi lahat tayo nakikinabang. Pag masira ko to, ako ang mananagot, I will be the one to repair it or do something in order to replace it. That is what we call responsible honor. Aju? And that is God's plan towards the third blessing. Hindi lang yung, love the creation. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng love the creation? Okay? Ubusin mo yung creation, that's loving the creation? No. There should be hindi mo siya abusuhin, but you have to think for other people that is enjoying using it as well. Because that is God's heart when He created the whole universe. Aju? Kaya kung titignan natin, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, whether we like it or not, that is our direction. That is our goal. That is our purpose. Because I am a child of God because I inherited God's nature and characteristics. Kaya without anything, I have to fulfill the three great blessings individually and expand it to build God-centered ideal family and create an environment wherein everybody can feel God's presence. And this is the plan of God, centering on a person who can fulfill the three great blessings. And once a person, man and woman, can fulfill the three great blessings, they will be standing as the true parents, and all children will become their children. And that's the time that we can live in the kingdom of heaven together. So had God's purpose of creation been realized in this way, an ideal world without even a trace of sin would have been established on earth. We call this world the kingdom of heaven on earth. In the kingdom of heaven, God's direction will be conveyed to all His children through the true parents of humankind, guiding everyone to live as one. Okay? Kaya ang kinakailangan natin is to completely look at each other as brothers and sisters. We are all one family. Okay? Aju?
Aju.
Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na, hindi kita kapatid. No. We are all the children of God. Kaya ito yung pinamana sa atin ni Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago. Our Father. And once we will look at God as our parent, we cannot look at each other as different person. But we are all brothers and sisters under the parenthood of God. And that is the realization of the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Aju? All problems, all difficulties, we can surpass together by helping each other naturally, without any reservation. So that is the blueprint of God towards the whole universe. And sinong gagawa nito?
We.
Meron pa bang ibang inaasahan si God? Okay? Kaya nga, we are very lucky. We are chosen among the multitude. Aju?
Aju.
So I hope, brothers and sisters, that you have learned something for today. Uy, meron pa tayong time. Okay? So, I hope nga, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, I hope that we have really, will not just look at it as the text, an inspiration, but it is a guide towards developing a lifestyle that will allow us to enjoy everything together with our brothers and sisters. Okay, so that is the first part of the principle of creation. The second part will be next meeting.